Welcome, fellow vampire aficionados, to our channel dedicated to all things Dracula. Today we're sinking our teeth into the top 50 best Dracula movies of all time. From classic black and white gems to modern blood-sucking blockbusters, we've curated the ultimate list to satisfy your thirst for cinematic vampirism. Join us as we are ranking the most iconic portrayals of the Prince of Darkness, from Lugosi to Lee, and sink our fangs into the eerie atmospheres, haunting performances, and unforgettable moments that have made these films immortal. Whether you're a seasoned vampire hunter or a fledgling fan, this ranking promises to be a spine-tingling journey through the shadows of cinematic history. So grab your garlic and wooden stakes as we delve into the dark, seductive world of Dracula on the silver screen. Number 1. Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1992. Directed by Francis Ford Coppola, is a visually stunning and atmospheric retelling of the classic vampire tale. Coppola's rendition remains faithful to the novel while infusing it with his own artistic flair. Gary Oldman's portrayal of the titular character is captivating, showcasing Dracula's tragic complexity and allure. The film's lavish sets, elaborate costumes, and haunting score create a mesmerizing gothic ambience. Coppola masterfully weaves together themes of love, obsession, and immortality, crafting a cinematic experience that is both chilling and emotionally resonant. Bram Stoker's Dracula stands as a timeless classic in the realm of horror cinema. Number 2. Dracula, 1931. Directed by Todd Browning, is a pioneering classic in the horror genre, marking the advent of sound in horror films. Bela Lugosi's iconic portrayal of Count Dracula set the standard for vampire depictions for decades to come, his commanding presence and distinctive accent leaving an indelible mark on pop culture. The film's eerie atmosphere, gothic sets, and Lugosi's hypnotic performance captivated audiences, solidifying Dracula as a cultural icon. While diverging from the source material in some aspects, Browning's adaptation remains a cornerstone of cinematic horror, influencing countless filmmakers and shaping the image of the vampire in popular imagination. Number 3. Horror of Dracula, 1958. Directed by Terence Fisher, revitalized the vampire genre with its fresh approach and Hammer Films' signature style. Peter Cushing's portrayal of Professor Van Helsing offers a charismatic foil to Christopher Lee's menacing Dracula, creating a dynamic on-screen rivalry. The film's vibrant Technicolor cinematography and lavish gothic sets breathe new life into the tale, while its judicious use of suspense and gore thrilled audiences of the era. Fisher's direction imbues the film with a sense of urgency and dread, making Horror of Dracula a standout entry in the Hammer horror canon and a timeless classic of vampire cinema. Number 4. Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror, 1922. Directed by F.W. Murnau, is a silent horror film that stands as a landmark in cinematic history. An unauthorized adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula, the film features Max Schreck's iconic portrayal of Count Orlok, a haunting and grotesque vampire figure. Murnau's expressionistic direction, with its use of shadow and light, creates a palpable sense of dread and unease. The film's eerie atmosphere and Schreck's unforgettable performance make Nosferatu a chilling and atmospheric masterpiece that continues to influence horror cinema to this day, showcasing the power of silent film to evoke fear and suspense. Number 5. Dracula, Prince of Darkness, 1966. Directed by Terence Fisher, is a Hammer horror production that revitalized the Dracula franchise with a fresh approach. Christopher Lee returns as the iconic Count Dracula, delivering a chilling performance devoid of dialogue. The film's atmospheric tension and gothic aesthetics, combined with Fisher's skillful direction, create a palpable sense of dread. With its suspenseful narrative and gruesome imagery, Dracula, Prince of Darkness, solidifies Hammer's reputation as a leading purveyor of horror cinema. Lee's commanding presence and the film's macabre atmosphere ensure its status as a beloved entry in the Dracula series and a classic of British horror. Number 6. Dracula Untold, 2014.
Look away!
Directed by Gary Shaw, reimagines the origin story of the iconic vampire with a blend of action and fantasy. Luke Evans portrays Vlad Islay, a nobleman who makes a forced bargain to protect his family and kingdom from the Ottoman Empire. The film explores themes of sacrifice, power, and redemption against the backdrop of medieval Transylvania. While deviating from traditional Dracula lore, Dracula Untold offers a fresh take on the character, incorporating CGI-laden battle sequences and visual spectacle. Despite mixed critical reception, Evans' compelling performance and the film's ambitious scope make it an intriguing addition to the Dracula mythos. Number 7. Dracula, 1979. Directed by John Badham, offers a stylish reinterpretation of Bram Stoker's classic tale. Frank Langella delivers a charismatic and seductive portrayal of Count Dracula, emphasizing the character's allure and tragic death. The film's lush cinematography and atmospheric score enhance its gothic ambience, while Badham's direction infuses the story with a sense of romance and sensuality. Despite some departures from the source material, such as setting the story in a more contemporary time period, the film remains faithful to the essence of Stoker's novel. Dracula, 1979, stands as a visually striking and emotionally resonant adaptation of the iconic vampire story. Number 8. Van Helsing, 2004.
Van Helsing! You murderer!
Directed by Stephen Sommers, is a high-octane action-adventure film that reimagines the iconic monster hunter from classic literature. Hugh Jackman stars as Gabriel Van Helsing, a fearless warrior tasked with battling the world's most notorious monsters, including Count Dracula, the Wolfman, and Frankenstein's monster. The film combines elements of horror, fantasy, and steampunk aesthetics to create a visually stunning and action-packed spectacle. While criticized for its frenetic pacing and departure from traditional monster lore, Van Helsing offers a thrilling ride filled with dazzling special effects and over-the-top action sequences, making it a guilty pleasure for fans of monster mayhem. Number 9. Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, 1968. Directed by Freddie Francis, is a Hammer horror production that continues the iconic vampires saga with chilling aplomb. Christopher Lee reprises his role as the charismatic Count Dracula, who returns from the grave seeking vengeance. The film explores themes of religious symbolism and moral conflict as Dracula targets the residents of a small village. Francis' direction infuses the narrative with gothic atmosphere and suspense, while Lee's commanding presence as Dracula captivates audiences. Despite its formulaic elements, Dracula Has Risen from the Grave remains a beloved entry in the Hammer horror series, offering thrills and chills aplenty. Number 10. The Brides of Dracula, 1960. Directed by Terence Fisher, is a Hammer horror classic that expands upon the vampire mythos established in Dracula, 1958. Peter Cushing returns as Professor Van Helsing, battling a new vampire threat in the form of Baron Mainster, played by David Peel, a disciple of Count Dracula. The film delves into themes of temptation, redemption, and female empowerment as Van Helsing confronts Mainster and his seductive vampire brides. Fisher's direction brings a sense of gothic atmosphere and suspense to the narrative, while Cushing's authoritative performance anchors the film. The Brides of Dracula remains a fan-favorite entry in the Hammer horror canon. Number 11. Nosferatu the Vampire, 1979. Directed by Werner Herzog, is a haunting and atmospheric reimagining of F.W. Murnau's silent classic Nosferatu, 1922. Klaus Kinski delivers a mesmerizing performance as Count Dracula, capturing both the eerie allure and profound loneliness of the iconic vampire. Herzog's direction infuses the film with a dreamlike quality, accentuated by its stark visuals and haunting score. While paying homage to Murnau's original, Herzog brings his own unique vision to the story, exploring themes of mortality, isolation, and the human condition. Nosferatu the Vampire stands as a masterful work of art house horror, revered for its atmospheric cinematography, haunting performances, and Herzog's singular directorial vision, making it a must-watch for fans of vampire cinema. Number 12. House of Frankenstein, 1945. Directed by Earl C. Kenton, is a classic Universal Monsters crossover film that brings together iconic horror characters in a thrilling narrative. The film features Dracula, the Wolfman, and Frankenstein's monster, portrayed by John Carradine, Lon Chaney Jr., and Glenn Strange, respectively. Boris Karloff also appears as the mad scientist Dr. Niemann. As the characters' paths intersect, chaos ensues, leading to dramatic confrontations and monstrous mayhem. While not as critically acclaimed as some of its predecessors, House of Frankenstein remains a beloved entry in the Universal Monsters series, known for its atmospheric black and white cinematography, memorable performances, and the nostalgic charm of seeing multiple iconic monsters sharing the screen. Number 13. Taste the Blood of Dracula, 1970. Directed by Peter Sarsdy, is another captivating entry in Hammer Film Productions' Dracula series. Christopher Lee reprises his role as the menacing Count, seeking revenge on a group of wealthy Londoners who have unwittingly resurrected him. The film explores themes of corruption, morality, and the consequences of dabbling in the occult. With its sumptuous gothic atmosphere, striking cinematography, and eerie score, Taste the Blood of Dracula offers a deliciously macabre viewing experience. Lee's portrayal of the vampire lord continues to captivate, while the film's blend of horror and psychological drama keeps audiences on the edge of their seats. Taste the Blood of Dracula stands as a worthy addition to Hammer's iconic vampire series, delivering thrills and chills in equal measure. Number 14. Scars of Dracula, 1970. Directed by Roy Ward Baker, is a grisly and atmospheric addition to Hammer Film Productions' Dracula series. Christopher Lee returns as the iconic vampire, portraying Dracula with his signature blend of menace and magnetism. The film follows Dracula's resurrection and reign of terror in a remote village, where he preys upon unsuspecting victims and spreads fear and chaos. Baker's direction infuses the film with gothic atmosphere and suspense, while the lush cinematography and eerie score enhance its chilling ambience. Despite its graphic violence and controversial scenes, Scars of Dracula remains a cult favorite among horror aficionados, known for its unrelenting tension and Lee's commanding performance. With its blend of horror and gothic melodrama, the film stands as a worthy installment in Hammer's legendary Dracula series. Number 15. Dracula, Dead and Loving It, 1995. Directed by Mel Brooks, is a comedic spoof that parodies the classic Dracula tale with irreverent humor and slapstick comedy. Leslie Nielsen stars as the bumbling Count Dracula, whose attempts to terrorize the living are consistently foiled by a group of hapless heroes. The film hilariously lampoons the conventions of vampire lore, with Brooks' trademark wit and absurdity permeating every scene. From exaggerated accents to absurd sight gags, Dracula, Dead and Loving It offers a lighthearted and entertaining take on the iconic vampire story. While it may not be revered as a classic like its source material, the film remains a fun and enjoyable watch for fans of Mel Brooks' brand of humor and those looking for a comedic spin on the Dracula legend. Number 16. The Satanic Rites of Dracula, 1974. Directed by Alan Gibson, is a unique blend of horror and espionage set in 1970s London. Christopher Lee reprises his role as Count Dracula in this Hammer horror production, where he plots to unleash a deadly virus upon the world. Peter Cushing returns as Professor Van Helsing, tasked with stopping Dracula's diabolical scheme. The film diverges from traditional vampire lore, incorporating elements of science fiction and conspiracy thriller into the narrative. Despite mixed reviews upon its release, The Satanic Rites of Dracula has gained a cult following for its ambitious storyline, eerie atmosphere, and the dynamic chemistry between Lee and Cushing. It stands as a curious and intriguing entry in the Hammer horror canon, offering a fresh take on the iconic vampire tale. Number 17. Count Dracula, 1977. Directed by Philip Soville, is a faithful adaptation of Bram Stoker's classic novel that aired as a television miniseries. Louis Jourdan stars as the enigmatic Count Dracula, delivering a sophisticated and seductive portrayal of the iconic vampire. The film follows the familiar tale of Dracula's journey from Transylvania to England, where he unleashes terror upon the unsuspecting residents of London. Saville's direction emphasizes the gothic atmosphere and intricate character dynamics, capturing the essence of Stoker's original work. While not as well known as other adaptations, Count Dracula is praised for its atmospheric cinematography, strong performances, and adherence to the source material. Jourdan's portrayal of the titular character adds depth and complexity to the timeless vampire tale, making it a noteworthy addition to Dracula lore. Number 18. House of Dracula, 1945. Directed by Earl C. Kenton, is a classic Universal Monsters film that brings together multiple iconic horror characters in a thrilling narrative. The film features Count Dracula, the Wolfman, and Frankenstein's monster, portrayed by John Carradine, Lon Chaney Jr., and Glenn Strange, respectively. Boris Karloff also appears as the mad scientist Dr. Niemann. As the characters converge on Dr. Niemann's castle, they become embroiled in a series of chilling events, leading to dramatic confrontations and monstrous mayhem. While not as critically acclaimed as some of its predecessors, House of Dracula remains a beloved entry in the Universal Monsters series, known for its atmospheric black and white cinematography, memorable performances, and the nostalgic charm of seeing multiple iconic monsters sharing the screen. Number 19. Dracula 2000, directed by Patrick Lussier, is a modern retelling of the classic vampire tale with a fresh twist. Gerard Butler stars as the enigmatic Count Dracula, who awakens in contemporary New Orleans after being transported from his ancient castle. Christopher Plummer portrays Abraham Van Helsing's descendant, who must confront Dracula and stop his reign of terror. The film combines elements of horror, action, and supernatural thriller, offering a fast-paced and adrenaline-fueled narrative. While the film received mixed reviews from critics, it gained a cult following for its stylish visuals, inventive storyline, and Butler's charismatic performance as the iconic vampire. Dracula 2000 breathes new life into the age-old legend, appealing to both fans of traditional vampire lore and audiences seeking a modern twist on the classic tale. Number 20. Blade Trinity 2004, directed by David S. Goyer, is the third installment in the Blade film series, based on the Marvel Comics character Blade, a half-vampire hunter. Wesley Snipes reprises his role as Blade, who faces his deadliest enemy yet, Dracula, portrayed by Dominic Purcell. The film follows Blade as he teams up with a group of vampire hunters known as the Night Stalkers to stop Dracula and his plans for world domination. With its blend of action, horror, and dark humor, Blade Trinity delivers thrilling fight sequences, impressive special effects, and a charismatic ensemble cast, including Jessica Biel and Ryan Reynolds. While it received mixed reviews from critics, the film remains a favorite among fans of the vampire genre for its stylish visuals and exhilarating action. Number 21. Count Dracula 1970, directed by Jesus Franco, is a unique take on the classic vampire tale, known for its surreal and avant-garde style. Christopher Lee stars as the titular Count, portraying Dracula with a sense of brooding menace and aristocratic charm. The film diverges from traditional storytelling, focusing more on atmosphere and imagery rather than linear narrative. Franco's direction infuses the film with a dreamlike quality, with striking visuals and haunting cinematography adding to its unsettling ambience. While not universally praised, Count Dracula has gained a cult following for its experimental approach to the genre and Lee's captivating performance. With its unconventional storytelling and artistic flourishes, the film stands as a notable entry in the Dracula mythos, offering a fresh interpretation of the timeless vampire legend. Number 22. The Monster Squad 1987, directed by Fred Decker, is a cult classic horror comedy that follows a group of kids who must band together to defeat classic Universal monsters. When Count Dracula, portrayed by Duncan Regehr, forms an alliance with other iconic monsters, including Frankenstein's monster, the Wolfman, and the Mummy, it's up to the titular squad to save the day. The film expertly blends humor, adventure, and horror, offering a nostalgic homage to classic monster movies while delivering genuine thrills and laughs. With its witty dialogue, memorable characters, and thrilling action sequences, the Monster Squad has earned a devoted fan base over the years. It remains a beloved gem of 80s cinema, cherished for its charm, creativity, and enduring appeal to audiences of all ages. Number 23. Son of Dracula 1943, directed by Robert Shogmack, is a classic Universal Monsters film that introduces a new twist to the Dracula mythos. Lon Chaney Jr. stars as Count Alucard, the son of the infamous vampire, who arrives in a small southern town to claim his inheritance. However, his true intentions are soon revealed as he unleashes terror upon the townsfolk. The film features atmospheric black and white cinematography and eerie set designs, capturing the gothic ambience of the vampire legend. While not as revered as some of its predecessors, Son of Dracula remains a noteworthy entry in the Universal Monsters series, known for its moody atmosphere, Chaney Jr.'s compelling performance, and its unique spin on the Dracula mythos. Number 24 to 30 Days of Night 2007, Released in 2007, a chilling horror film that reimagines the vampire mythos with a sinister twist. Set in the isolated town of Barrow, Alaska, where the sun disappears for a month, the inhabitants face an ancient evil, vampires led by the enigmatic Marlowe. As darkness descends, a small group of survivors, including Sheriff Ibn Olsen and his estranged wife Stella, must fight for their lives against the relentless onslaught of bloodthirsty predators. With intense suspense and visceral terror, the film explores themes of survival, sacrifice, and the primal fear of the unknown, delivering a haunting and unforgettable cinematic experience. Number 25. Dracula AD 1972. Directed by Alan Gibson, is a unique entry in the Hammer horror series that brings the iconic vampire into the modern era. Christopher Lee reprises his role as Count Dracula, who is resurrected in 1970s London by a group of Satanists. Peter Cushing returns as Professor Van Helsing's descendant, who must confront Dracula and prevent him from unleashing terror upon the city. The film combines elements of horror and psychedelic 1970s aesthetics, offering a stylish and unconventional take on the vampire legend. With its groovy soundtrack, vibrant visuals, and campy charm, Dracula AD 1972 has gained a cult following among fans of retro horror cinema. Despite its departure from traditional vampire lore, the film remains an entertaining and nostalgic ride through the swinging 70s. Number 26. Fright Night 1985. A cult classic horror comedy film released in 1985, directed by Tom Holland. Set in a suburban neighborhood, it follows teenager Charlie Brewster, who becomes convinced his new neighbor, Jerry Dandridge, is a vampire. Desperate to prove it, Charlie enlists the help of a washed-up horror actor, Peter Vincent. As the tension rises, Charlie discovers the horrifying truth about Jerry and must confront him to save his friends and family. Fright Night blends humor, suspense, and practical effects, becoming a beloved staple of 80s horror cinema, celebrated for its clever writing, memorable characters, and nostalgic charm. Number 27. Blade 1998. Released in 1998 and directed by Stephen Norrington, is a groundbreaking action horror film based on the Marvel Comics character of the same name. Starring Wesley Snipes as the titular half-human, half-vampire antihero, the movie follows Blade's quest to rid the world of vampires. Endowed with their strengths but immune to their weaknesses, Blade battles the vampire Lord Deacon Frost, who seeks to summon an ancient vampire god to enslave humanity. With its stylish action sequences, sleek visuals, and Snipes' charismatic performance, Blade revitalized the superhero genre and paved the way for future comic book adaptations. Number 28. The Last Voyage of the Demeter 2023. Directed by Andrew Overdahl, is a horror film that serves as a prequel to Bram Stoker's Dracula. Set aboard the doomed ship Demeter, the movie chronicles the harrowing journey of its crew as they transport Count Dracula from Transylvania to England. The film delves into the psychological and supernatural horrors encountered by the crew as they become increasingly aware of the vampire's presence on board. With a gripping narrative, tense atmosphere, and chilling visuals, The Last Voyage of the Demeter explores themes of fear, isolation, and the relentless pursuit of evil. It offers a fresh perspective on the Dracula mythos, shedding light on one of the most mysterious and terrifying chapters in the vampire's legend. Number 29. Love at First Bite 1979. Directed by Stan Dragotti, is a comedic spoof that puts a humorous twist on the classic Dracula tale. George Hamilton stars as Count Dracula, who relocates from Transylvania to New York City in search of a new bride. However, his plans are complicated when he falls in love with a model named Cindy, played by Susan St. James. The film parodies vampire cliches with witty humor and clever satire, poking fun at both vampire lore and 1970s culture. With its campy charm, colorful characters, and tongue-in-cheek humor, Love at First Bite offers a lighthearted and entertaining take on the vampire genre. It remains a cult favorite among fans of horror comedy, cherished for its playful irreverence and Hamilton's charismatic performance as the slave vampire. Number 30. Renfield 2023. A horror film directed by Chris McKay, offering a fresh take on the Dracula mythos from the perspective of the infamous henchman Renfield. Nicholas Hoult stars as Renfield, a lowly inmate in a psychiatric hospital who becomes entangled in the machinations of the charismatic but enigmatic Count Dracula, portrayed by Nicolas Cage. The film follows Renfield's journey from a timid lackey to a reluctant hero as he navigates a world of vampiric intrigue and madness. With a blend of dark humor, horror, and adventure, Renfield promises to deliver a unique and entertaining spin on the classic vampire tale. Expectations are high for this highly anticipated film, which aims to breathe new life into one of literature's most enduring villains while offering a fresh perspective on his story. Number 31. Count Dracula, 1970. Directed by Peter Sasdy, is a horror film loosely based on the legend of Elizabeth Bathory, a Hungarian countess infamous for her alleged bathing in the blood of virgins to maintain her youth. In the film, Ingrid Pitt stars as the aging Countess Elizabeth Navasdy, who discovers the rejuvenating powers of blood and begins a murderous quest for eternal youth. As her beauty is restored, her thirst for blood grows, leading to a string of gruesome killings. The film blends elements of horror, drama, and dark fantasy, exploring themes of vanity, obsession, and the corrupting nature of power. Count Dracula is celebrated for Pitt's captivating performance, its gothic atmosphere, and its chilling portrayal of a woman consumed by her own vanity and desire for eternal youth. Number 32. Argento's Dracula, 2012. Directed by Dario Argento, is a modern retelling of Bram Stoker's classic vampire tale. The film stars Thomas Kretschmann as the titular Count Dracula, who terrorizes 19th century Europe in search of fresh victims. Argento's version takes liberties with the source material, incorporating elements of horror, eroticism, and surrealism to create a visually striking and atmospheric interpretation. With its lavish production design, stylized cinematography, and haunting score, Argento's Dracula offers a unique and provocative take on the timeless vampire legend. While the film received mixed reviews from critics, it has gained a cult following among fans of Argento's distinctive filmmaking style, known for its bold and unapologetic approach to the horror genre. Argento's Dracula stands as a testament to the enduring fascination with the iconic vampire and his eternal struggle against humanity. Number 33. The Return of the Vampire, 1944. Directed by Lew Landers, is a classic horror film that stars Bela Lugosi as Armand Tesla, a vampire awakened from his tomb during World War II. Tesla wreaks havoc on London, accompanied by his loyal werewolf servant, Andreas, portrayed by Matt Willis. Nina Foch stars as Lady Jane Ainsley, who teams up with a group of allies to stop Tesla's reign of terror. The film explores themes of good versus evil and the supernatural in a wartime setting, blending horror with elements of suspense and action. Lugosi delivers a captivating performance as the menacing vampire, while Landers' direction creates a chilling atmosphere. The Return of the Vampire remains a beloved entry in the vampire genre, cherished for its atmospheric storytelling and Lugosi's iconic portrayal of the undead. Number 34. Blacula, 1972. Directed by William Crane, is a groundbreaking horror film that follows the story of an African prince, Mamuwald, played by William Marshall, who is transformed into a vampire by Count Dracula in 1780s Transylvania. Awakened in 1970s Los Angeles, Mamuwald, now known as Blacula, seeks revenge on those who have disturbed his tomb. The film explores themes of race, identity, and the legacy of slavery in America, offering a unique perspective on the vampire genre. With its blend of horror and social commentary, Blacula broke new ground in cinema and became a cult classic. William Marshall's commanding performance, along with its stylish direction and memorable soundtrack, solidifies Blacula as a pioneering work in black cinema and a stand-up entry in the vampire genre. Number 35. Blood for Dracula, 1974. Directed by Paul Morrissey and produced by Andy Warhol, is a unique and controversial take on the vampire genre. Udo Kier stars as Count Dracula, a vampire nobleman who travels to Italy in search of virgin blood to sustain him. However, his plans are complicated when he discovers that the women he encounters are not as pure as they seem. The film combines elements of horror, satire, and dark comedy, offering a provocative commentary on class struggle and sexual politics. With its graphic violence, explicit sexuality, and biting social commentary, Blood for Dracula divided audiences and critics upon its release. Despite its controversial nature, the film has gained a cult following for its audacious approach to the vampire mythos and its subversive take on traditional gender roles. Number 36. Dracula and Son, 1976. Directed by Eduard Molinaro, is a French comedy film that puts a humorous spin on the classic vampire tale. Christopher Lee stars as the iconic Count Dracula, who finds himself facing a new challenge when he becomes a father. After his son, Ferdinand, played by Bernard Manez, is born, Dracula must navigate the complexities of parenthood while also dealing with his eternal thirst for blood. The film blends elements of slapstick comedy, satire, and family drama, offering a light-hearted and entertaining take on the vampire genre. With its witty humor, charming performances, and playful approach to the Dracula mythos, Dracula and Son provides a refreshing twist on the timeless tale, appealing to audiences looking for a lighter and more comedic interpretation of the legendary vampire. Number 37. Dracula, Pages from a Virgin's Diary, 2002. Directed by Guy Maddin, is a visually stunning interpretation of Bram Stoker's classic vampire tale. Shot in the style of a silent film and presented as a ballad, the movie combines elements of horror, romance, and surrealism to create a haunting and hypnotic cinematic experience. The film follows the story of Count Dracula, portrayed by Zhang Weiqian, as he preys upon the residents of Victorian-era London. Maddin's direction infuses the narrative with dreamlike imagery, expressionistic cinematography, and striking choreography, resulting in a visually mesmerizing and emotionally resonant work of art. Dracula, Pages from a Virgin's Diary, is celebrated for its innovative approach to storytelling and its evocative exploration of the vampire mythos, making it a standout entry in the Dracula film canon. Number 38. Let the Right One in, 2008. Directed by Thomas Alfredson, is a Swedish romantic horror film based on the novel by John Ajvide Lindqvist. Set in 1980s Stockholm, the story follows the relationship between Oscar, a lonely 12-year-old boy, and Eli, a mysterious young girl who turns out to be a centuries-old vampire. As their friendship blossoms, Oscar discovers Eli's true nature and must grapple with the moral complexities of their bond. The film delicately balances elements of horror, romance, and coming-of-age drama, offering a poignant and atmospheric exploration of loneliness, innocence, and the nature of evil. Praised for its nuanced performances, atmospheric cinematography, and haunting score, Let the Right One In has earned widespread critical acclaim and remains a beloved classic in the vampire genre. Number 39. Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, 1948. Directed by Charles Barton, is a horror comedy film that brings together the iconic comedy duo with Universal monsters. Bud Abbott and Lou Costello star as bumbling baggage clerks who unwittingly become embroiled in a plot involving Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, and the Wolfman. Bela Lugosi reprises his role as Count Dracula, while Lon Chaney Jr. and Glenn Strange portray the Wolfman and Frankenstein's monster respectively. The film cleverly blends slapstick humor with horror elements, creating a delightful and entertaining crossover that appeals to audiences of all ages. Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein is celebrated for its witty dialogue, zany antics, and affectionate homage to classic monster movies. It remains a beloved gem of 1940s cinema, cherished for its timeless humor and enduring charm. Number 40. Dracula, Spanish version, 1931. Directed by George Melford, is a captivating alternative adaptation of Bram Stoker's classic vampire tale, shot concurrently with the more famous English-language version directed by Todd Browning. While both films share the same sets, the Spanish version features a different cast and crew. Carlos Valeria stars as Count Dracula, offering a more seductive portrayal compared to Bela Lugosi's iconic interpretation. The Spanish version also boasts superior cinematography, innovative camera angles, and a faster pace, making it a more visually dynamic and atmospheric experience. Despite being overshadowed by its English-language counterpart, the Spanish version of Dracula has gained recognition among cinephiles for its unique qualities and serves as a testament to the versatility of classic horror cinema. Number 41. Black Sunday, 1960. Directed by Mario Bava, is a landmark Italian horror film that has had a significant influence on the genre. Set in 17th century Moldavia, the story revolves around a vengeful witch, Asa Vida, played by Barbara Steele, who is executed by her own brother, but returns 200 years later to exact her revenge on his descendants. Known for its gothic atmosphere, stunning black and white cinematography, and visceral imagery, Black Sunday is a masterpiece of Italian horror cinema. Bava's directorial prowess is evident in his meticulous attention to detail and his ability to create an atmosphere of dread and unease. The film's impact on the genre can still be felt today, with its influence seen in countless horror films that followed. Black Sunday remains a classic of atmospheric horror, revered by fans and critics alike. Number 42, Vampire, 1932. Directed by Danish filmmaker Carl Theodor Dreyer, is a haunting and atmospheric horror film that stands as a landmark of early cinema. Loosely based on Sheridan Le Fanu's gothic novella Carmilla, the film follows Alan Gray, a young traveler who becomes embroiled in supernatural events at a remote inn. As Gray delves deeper into the mysteries surrounding the inn and its inhabitants, he encounters eerie visions, unsettling atmospheres, and encounters with the undead. Vampire is renowned for its avant-garde filmmaking techniques, including surreal visuals, experimental camera work, and innovative use of sound. With its dreamlike narrative and haunting imagery, the film creates an atmosphere of dread and unease that lingers long after the credits roll. Vampire remains a seminal work of horror cinema, influencing generations of filmmakers with its artistic vision and atmospheric storytelling. Number 43, Blade 2, 2002. Directed by Guillermo del Toro, is the second installment in the Blade film series, based on the Marvel Comics character Blade, a half-vampire vampire hunter. Wesley Snipes reprises his role as the titular character, Blade, who must team up with a group of vampires, known as the Blood Pack, to combat a new threat, a mutated breed of super vampires called Reapers. As the Reapers terrorize both humans and vampires alike, Blade and his unlikely allies must put aside their differences and work together to save humanity from extinction. With Del Toro's distinctive visual style, Blade 2 offers exhilarating action sequences, impressive special effects, and a darker, more intense tone than its predecessor. The film received praise for its thrilling blend of horror, action, and fantasy, solidifying Blade's status as a beloved anti-hero in the world of comic book adaptations. Number 44, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, 2014. Directed by Anna Lily Amirpour, is a mesmerizing and genre-defined film that blends elements of horror, romance, and western. Set in the fictional Iranian ghost town of Bad City, the story follows a mysterious vampire played by Sheila Vand, who roams the streets at night, preying on unsuspecting individuals. However, when she encounters Arash, played by Arash Morandi, a young man struggling with his own demons, that unlikely connection sparks a series of events that challenge their perceptions of life and death. With its striking black and white cinematography, atmospheric soundtrack, and evocative visuals, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night captivates audiences with its dreamlike atmosphere and haunting beauty. The film is celebrated for its unique vision, compelling characters, and subversion of genre conventions, establishing Amirpour as a bold and visionary filmmaker. Number 45, What We Do in the Shadows, 2014. Directed by Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement, is a mockumentary horror comedy that offers a hilarious and fresh take on vampire lore. Set in Wellington, New Zealand, the film follows a group of vampire flatmates Viago, Vladislav, Deacon, and Peter as they navigate the challenges of modern life, including paying rent, navigating social interactions, and dealing with centuries-old grudges. With its deadpan humor, clever writing, and memorable characters, What We Do in the Shadows delights audiences with its absurd premise and witty dialogue. The film cleverly parodies vampire tropes while also paying homage to classic horror films. It has garnered widespread acclaim for its inventive concept, sharp humor, and endearing characters, solidifying its status as a cult favorite in the vampire comedy genre. Number 46, Shadow of the Vampire, 2000. Directed by E. Elias Merhige, is a captivating horror drama that offers a fictionalized account of the making of the silent film classic Nosferatu, 1922. The film imagines that Max Strick, the actor who portrayed Count Orlok in Nosferatu, was actually a real vampire hired by director F.W. Murnau, played by John Malkovich, to bring authenticity to the role. As filming progresses, the cast and crew become increasingly unnerved by Shrek's eerie behavior and insatiable thirst for blood. Willem Dafoe delivers a mesmerizing performance as Shrek, capturing the otherworldly essence of the vampire with chilling precision. Shadow of the Vampire is praised for its inventive premise, atmospheric cinematography, and the exploration of the blurred lines between reality and fiction in filmmaking. It offers a unique and thought-provoking take on the vampire mythos, blending horror with behind-the-scenes drama. Number 47, From Dusk Till Dawn, 1996. Directed by Robert Rodriguez and written by Quentin Tarantino, is a genre-bending action horror film that follows the Gecko brothers, Seth and Richie, portrayed by George Clooney and Tarantino himself, as they flee to Mexico after a bank heist. Taking a family hostage, they seek refuge in a sleazy strip club called the Titty Twister, where they soon discover that the establishment is run by vampires. As the night unfolds, the geckos and their hostages must fight for survival against hordes of bloodthirsty creatures. The film features a blend of intense action, dark humor, and over-the-top gore, along with memorable performances and iconic dialogue. From Dusk Till Dawn is celebrated for its stylish direction, inventive premise, and its seamless transition from crime thriller to supernatural horror. Number 48, Interview with the Vampire Chronicles, 1994. Directed by Neil Jordan and based on Anne Rice's novel, is a lush and atmospheric adaptation that explores the complexities of immortality and the human condition. The film follows Louis de Pointe du Lac, played by Brad Pitt, a broody 18th century plantation owner turned vampire, as he recounts his journey to a modern-day journalist, played by Christian Slater. Alongside Louis is the charismatic and enigmatic vampire Lestat, played by Tom Cruise, who introduces him to the dark world of vampirism. The film delves into themes of loneliness, desire, and morality, offering a visually stunning portrayal of vampire mythology. With its lavish production design, haunting score, and standout performances, particularly from Cruise and Pitt, Interview with the Vampire remains a beloved classic in the vampire genre, cherished for its emotional depth and gothic romance. Number 49, Fright Night, 2011. Directed by Craig Gillespie, is a modern reimagining of the cult classic horror comedy from 1985. The film follows teenager Charlie Brewster, played by Anton Yelchin, who discovers that his charming new neighbor, Jerry Dandridge, played by Colin Farrell, is actually a vampire preying on their suburban community. With the help of his skeptical friend Evil Ed, played by Christopher Mintz-Plasse, and vampire hunter Peter Vincent, played by David Tennant, Charlie must find a way to stop Jerry before it's too late. The movie blends elements of horror, comedy, and action, offering a fresh and entertaining take on the vampire genre. With its charismatic performances, thrilling action sequences, and clever nods to the original, Fright Night is a fun and enjoyable ride for both fans of the original film and newcomers alike. Number 50, Salem's Lot, 1979. Directed by Tobe Hooper, is a chilling made-for-TV adaptation of Stephen King's novel. The story revolves around writer Ben Mears, played by David Soul, who returns to his hometown of Salem's Lot to confront his traumatic past and discovers that the town is being overrun by vampires, led by the sinister Kurt Barlow, played by Reggie Nolder. As Mears and a small group of allies fight to save the town from the vampire menace, they confront their own fears and vulnerabilities. The film is praised for its atmospheric tension, eerie cinematography, and memorable performances. With its slow-building dread and terrifying set pieces, Salem's Lot remains a classic of television horror, haunting viewers with its depiction of small-town terror and the supernatural. Thank you for joining us on this cinematic journey through the realm of Dracula. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your favorite vampire movie in the comments below. Until next time, may your nights be filled with thrilling tales and moonlit encounters with the undead. Thanks for watching and stay spooky.